Am I the a-hole for not giving my half-siblings any of the inheritance I got from my dad, but paying for my stepsister's surgery and house deposit? I, 32 female, have 2 half-siblings, 15 male and 16 male, and a stepsister, 28 female. My parents divorced when I was 8 as mom was caught cheating with my now stepdad. Dad got majority custody of me because mom didn't actually want any custody and want to go travel with now stepdad. Stepdad walked out on my stepsister, at the time 4-year-old, and her mom who was in the middle of treatment for cervical cancer. About 2 years after the whole time went down, my stepsister's mom died and my stepdad was given custody of her. He had none previously. As they then had to settle down, my mom fought for custody of me as she didn't want to have to pay child support if she was stuck, unable to travel because of stepdad getting stepsister. They got 50-50 custody of me. I wound up very close to my stepsister and ended up living together for a brief while after she was kicked out at 16 and left home at 17. I've never been close to my younger half-brothers, largely because mom and stepdad spoiled them constantly and made no secret of the fact that I and stepsister were intruding on their perfect family. Long story short, we've been low contact with them pretty much for the last 12 years. Stepsister reached out to them last year when she was diagnosed with cervical cancer and asked for their help to fund a hysterectomy. They told her that she deserved her diagnosis for forcing them to stop traveling, and stepdad told her that she was going to die alone and miserable like her mom. She's been no contact with them ever since. My dad died about 6 months ago and left everything to me plus a car to my stepsister. I've always been very close to him, and my stepsister also grew close to him after mom/stepdad kicked her out. It's not a ton, but I was able to give her money for a house deposit and pay off her surgery, as well as pay off my student loans, and enough to make a nice emergency fund. My stepdad recently found out about this. We don't know how. Neither of us told him. And we've received several threatening emails and letters saying we should have shared with our half-brothers, and threatening to sue us since dad left something to stepsister despite them not being related. Then clearly, he would have wanted our half-brothers to have something as well. I basically told them to get stuffed and stop harassing us, but I've just found out that my half-brothers have no money saved for their study, and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole for helping out stepsister but not them. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Nope, nope, and nope. Firstly, sorry for your loss. Secondly, the money was willed to you legally by your biological father. It is yours to do with as you see fit. Helping your stepsister is wonderful as you are close to her. Paying off loans is very sensible, and an emergency fund is vital. I would advise you also start paying into some retirement funds. Good luck. Totally agree. The only one who looked like they deserved the money was the stepsister. The others don't deserve a single cent from that inheritance, and they can't do anything about it, which is great for Opie. Not the a-hole. If your dad wanted to leave your stepbrother something, he would have. Your stepdad is like a shark circling the waters for leftovers. Lawyer up, Opie, even if just in the sense you know legally can't do anything. Not the a-hole. If your half-brothers don't have any money for their studies, it's not your fault. It was very nice of you to pay for your stepsister, and your stepdad is being the a-hole for threatening you for money is not rightfully owed. This, feeling guilty that they have no money when it's not Opie's fault, but they have siblings' parents who messed up. Not the a-hole. The estate was your father's to leave to whom he wanted to. No person is entitled to anyone's estate, and I'm saying this as someone who was written out of his father's will. Also, this money is yours to do with as you want. You used it to help someone you love during a time of crisis and to help her out. You are not required to use this money to help anyone out, but are welcome to help anyone your heart tells you to. Do not feel obligated to assist your half-siblings just because your mother and stepfather did not plan properly for them. That said, you might want to talk to a lawyer to head off any legal stunts they might try. One thing to keep in mind, family is about who loves you and stands by you, not about who is related to you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my inheritance with my siblings since they were legally adopted? I'm 23 male. I'm in a tricky situation where I'm leaning a bit more in one way than the other and either need that extra pushover or push back to the other side. Unfortunately, my 2 siblings, 21 female and 19 male, and I are the products of an ongoing affair between my mom, 44 female, and her current husband, 43 male. Technically, he is my bio dad. We did a DNA test. But legally, I'm a father's kid, and for the purposes of this story, I will be referring to my legal father as dad, while my bio dad will be referred to as stepdad. My dad died when I was 12, and I was devastated. I love that man so much that I cite his death as the catalyst for my current lack of faith. When I was 13, my mom married my stepdad, and when I was 14, they both approached me and my siblings about legal adoption. My siblings were eager to a new father, while I was crushed at the idea of everyone seemingly so eager to replace the man I knew and loved. While my mom initially respected my wishes to not be legally his, they both kept trying to convince me, but I refused. For years, I respected this man as my mom's husband, the man who provided for me, but he would never be my dad. I could tell that my stepdad was really hurt by this, especially around Father's Day. I would go out and visit my dad's grave with my half-brother, dad's first child with another woman, instead of spending the day with him. I guess he got fed up one day, and that's why he decided to tell my siblings and I all the truth. Obviously, this was a huge blow, and I refused to believe it, hence the DNA test, and I was crushed. It felt like I was losing my dad all over again. My mom decided that it was for the best, and that I no longer had an excuse to not accept the adoption. She was wrong, and I moved out a week after my high school graduation and went low contact with them. The only ones who seemed to be on my side was my half-brother and legal paternal grandparents. They accepted that my siblings were lost to them, but in their eyes, I was still my dad's kid. My younger siblings gave me crap about it for years, and saying that it was weird to spend time with people I had no blood relation to, and that I was being cruel to our biological paternal side. Our relationship became low contact as well, and I didn't really hear from them again until after my great-aunt died. She didn't have any children and married very well, and since her brother, my grandfather, was the only one to have children, so left most of her money to his daughter, my legal aunt, and to me and my half-brother. Since legally, my younger siblings were adopted by our bio dad and they shared no blood relation to her, she didn't consider them family and left them with nothing. My younger siblings heard about money and think I should split with them equally. I feel like since they choose to be adopted and were so willing to rug sweep what our mom did, that they're not entitled to a dime. Am I wrong? Not they-ho. Your siblings. It's weird to spend time with people you have no blood relation to. Also, your siblings. Give us money you got from people we have no blood relation to. At the risk of breaking AITA civility rule, your siblings can go vigorously fornicate with themselves. Not the a-hole. That is an absolutely preposterous stance for your siblings to have. They think they should be entitled to inheritance from a side of your family that they not only denounced, but also ridiculed you for keeping in contact with? Yeah, no. This one isn't a hard ruling. Just probably difficult if you're the one living it. Not the a-hole, but your mom is definitely the a-hole for putting you in this crazy situation. Your aunt chose to give you an inheritance. You have nothing to apologize for or feel bad about. I'm so sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. No one is entitled to receive any inheritance from anyone, especially if the deceased person made it clear what they wanted to give and to whom. Your siblings are acting like spoiled a-holes. Curious fact, the first part is wrong in a lot of countries. But yes, the siblings have no claim after what they said to Opie about his dad. Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I told my dad it's his fault his wife wants a divorce? So my 20 female dad, 40 male, and his wife, Jane, 31 female, have been married for 6 years now. Their relationship started because my dad was cheating on his wife at the time. My dad is a notorious cheater and manipulator, and I have witnessed this firsthand, so I know there are bases to the stories I have heard. Anyway, at first I didn't like Jane because of everything that happened with how their relationship began, and then they got married without telling anyone, which only made it worse. Eventually, I forgave my dad and Jane, and I actually got really close to Jane because she is awesome. I thought my dad had changed because they seemed so perfect for each other. Apparently, that's not the case. Fast forward to now, Jane asked my dad for a divorce. Apparently, he has been up to his cheating habits for a long time and has also been incredibly manipulative to Jane, so I don't blame her. At first, my dad told me he wanted Jane and I to keep our relationship. It hadn't even crossed my mind that I would stop talking to her. But now my dad has really started showing his ass to everyone. For example, at my sister's birthday party, my dad swore the divorce wouldn't be talked about, but then that's all he talked about. The entire time. He made everything so awkward, making sly comments about him, referring to some new guy Jane was talking to, and trying to still act like a couple even though everyone was clearly uncomfortable, following Jane everywhere, going through her phone, etc. He has also snapped at me and made comments about my weight, and has also tried several times to corner me into conversations about it like I am his therapist. We have never really been close, so I'm never really sure what to say, and I don't mind talking to him about it. But he goes into way too much detail and tells me things that he should really only be talking to a licensed professional about. Jane has also told me that he's being emotionally and financially abusive. They still share the same house, unfortunately, until May 1. And has been using their daughter together as leverage. This is all really frustrating because the truth is, it is his fault that all this is happening because he has cheated multiple times. But I also feel bad because I know he is hurting. Would I be the a-hole if I told him that it is his fault this is happening? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, but it's unlikely to make any impact. He sounds like a narcissist, and he'll just use any negative thing you say as a reason to turn on you. Your best course of action is to remain a friend to Jane and aid her in any way that you can. His behavior towards her and you are reasons enough to cut him off. Largely agree, but I'm not so sure the best course of action is to remain friends with Jane. Seems like both of them are involving OP way too much in marital problems. OP should not be Jane's sounding board about how crappy her dad is, nor should she be Dad's pseudotherapist. The abuse allegations muddy things, but both these parents seem to be looking for way too much emotional support from the adult, but still young child. Not Dayhall. Your plan may backfire with him getting angry at you. Just be prepared for an extreme reaction. Chances are good he knows why she's divorcing him. He may or may not own up to it, but that's not your problem. Personally, I probably wouldn't waste my breath. It probably wouldn't change his behavior. Your dad is a giant ass. A lot of cheaters never stop. Jane was naive to believe she'd be the exception. If they'll cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. But you seem to like Jane, and she sounds way better than your dad is in this situation. If everything you said in the post is true, his actions are indeed the cause of what's happening to him. Not the a-hole. Edit. Thank you guys for all your input. I think it is best to wait until Jane and the baby are out at the very least before I confront his behavior. Both Jane and I are very concerned about what he might do if anything pushes the wrong button because he is very unstable right now. I'm not really concerned about my relationship with him. Like I said, we've never been close and I've lived with my mom my whole life. Our relationship has always been unstable. So if he feels the need to stop talking to me when I do tell him, then that's how it is. Thank you guys. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not taking the kids with me on the honeymoon when their mom insisted? To start, my ex-wife and I divorced 6 years ago. She moved on and got married so fast I couldn't believe it, since we were high school sweethearts. We were sharing custody of our 2 kids, 7 and 9 at the time. She got busy with her new husband, new house, and I did most of my children's care for 2.5 years. Then she got pregnant and counted on me to take care of the kids. I had no problem. In fact, this was a blessing. I got to spend more time with the kids. I got married to my now wife a month ago. My ex asked if I was going to take the kids with me on the honeymoon. I said no and asked if she could have them for a week. She refused. She said she had work, although she always caused a scene to have them for a week. Her husband said he isn't willing to watch them. Those are his stepchildren, but I see why the kids and him aren't close. My ex threw a fit when I said my in-laws were willing to have the kids. She called me crazy to abandon the kids with strangers they've only known for 3 years. She started demanding I take them with me. I argued with her, calling her unreasonable, but she called me a horrible, horrible father. She began bad-mouthing me to my kids, asking them if they're comfortable living with their dad's new wife. Even told them we were leaving for good. I was freaking livid. My wife and I assured them none of this is true, and explained how every newly married couple get this special time together. I didn't just leave. I gave them tasks to decide what they want their new rooms to look like after renovations. I went over to my ex's place and the argument started. She kept saying I should put my new wife before my children and abandon them like that. She took notes to talk to her lawyer about my behavior. She called my wife a witch, and that she didn't trust her with the kids. I blew up at her, telling her to have some respect. Her husband started mocking me, wishing me terrible time, and for the plane to never land. Then told me to be careful not to come home with a baby already, since I had no problem ditching my kids so easily. I told them to bug off, then I left. My mother-in-law came and picked the kids. She was excited to do things with them. This is a chance for them to bond. When we came back, my ex and her sister never stopped berating me for not taking the kids, saying the kids are in for a miserable life with my new wife. I told them to stop it, but they keep guilting me, saying I acted like a neglectful father, putting my kids last on the list. Now for the top comments. Not day-haul and you need a lawyer. Document how she lied to your kids about abandoning them. Document everything. Communicate only through text, so there is a record. She will roll right over you in court unless you can back this up. Your ex is rich to say you're abandoning your kids for a vacation when she abandoned them when she got a new husband, again when she had a new child, and refused to watch them when you were going on your honeymoon. Hopefully you have some evidence if she does try to get some more custody, but it doesn't sound like her husband would want that. Not day-haul. The amount of projection from the ex and the stepdad are like a freaking auto cinema. Not day-haul. Your ex is bat-ass crazy. And you also need to take notes on how you ask her to watch the kids, but she refused, and how the husband said they aren't his kids. Not day-haul. I think you should record these interactions. Your ex is psycho. She sounds bizarrely jealous if you're marrying. As soon as she starts with her threats and her ranting and her insults, take out your phone and start filming. If she asks what you're doing, tell her you're just filming. Is there something she's saying she doesn't want people to know? If secret recording is legal in your state, do that. Some states require both parties to consent, other states do not. Be prepared to take her to court if this escalates, because she's trying to poison your kids against you and your new wife. And they're still young, and she is their mother. It's dangerous and very wrong. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to celebrate my mom on my birthday? I have 3 siblings between the ages of 10 and 18. I'm the oldest, 4th at 25. Every year on every single one of our birthdays, we're expected to celebrate my mom as well. We've done it since we were little. It was taught to me as giving thanks for caring plus giving birth to us, which I'm all for. I'm grateful as we wouldn't be here without her. The issue is, though, it becomes less of our birthday and more so an anniversary for the day our mom gave birth. Every year on our birthday, our mom gets gifts too. As we got older, we're now expected to get her monetary gifts, and not cards or homemade stuff. Just recently was my birthday and I was gifted some much needed clothes and dishware for my new apartment. My dad, however, got my mom a new MacBook. My siblings all got her gifts too. My youngest brother isn't expected to give much, but my 16-year-old sister and 18-year-old second brother work, so they're expected to give gifts too. My sister pulled me aside before my birthday and said she was sorry she couldn't get me much. She got me a sweater, I love it, and that she wanted to get me more, but our mom was pressuring her to get a certain necklace for our mom. Apparently, my mom had been dropping hints for months, and my sister was worried our mom would be upset and feel underappreciated if she didn't get it. I asked how much it was, and my sister said it was $300. I honestly lost it on our mom, and chewed into her later that afternoon when my mom opened her gifts after me. I think she's ridiculous for even wanting my sister to spend so much on a gift. Mom started crying and my dad kicked me out. Mom won't answer calls, but my aunt, mom's sister, called and said I was a POS for not respecting my mother, and that I'm a selfish, narcissist child for being jealous of the gifts mom got. I thought I was in the right, but now I don't know. It's been over 2 weeks and mom won't answer my calls. She's been posting on Facebook inspiration quotes about letting go of toxicity in your life, how blood doesn't equal family, and how hard it is to be a mother. Several family members, and grandma, uncle, and 2 of my cousins are replying to the posts and are very obviously directing vague comments at me about being a horrible daughter. I don't know what to think now because of how many people are on her side. Now for the top comments before the little update. Not stay home. It was her choice to carry 4 children and give birth to them. Your mother sounds self-centered and selfish. As far as toxicity in one's life and how blood doesn't equal family, I think you should apply that to your mother, not you. For once, Opie's mother is perfectly correct. Remove toxicity from your life, dear Opie. Blood doesn't equal family. Opie's mom is dripping with entitlement. 5 birthdays a year? $300 gifts? What's wrong with her? Out of curiosity, is this practice carried up the ladder to the next generation? Does grandma get presents on mom's birthday? This is a weird tradition that I have never heard of. Though it is important to note that while my mom does give gifts to my grandma on Mother's Day, she doesn't have to keep the same birthday traditions as us. On my mom's birthday, she doesn't give her mom anything, like we're expected to. Because 1, my parents couldn't afford it after having so many kids and having money tied up in that. And 2, because my grandma views us grandkids as a lifelong gift instead. I'm assuming my mom would also no longer expect a gift on my birthday if I had kids, but joke's on her, that's never going to happen. Not stay home. However, your mom though. Holy crap bucket. How the hell can you feel entitled to a $300 gift from your kid at 18 and expecting 5 birthdays a year? Your mom and your enabling family are messed up. I would have cut them off ASAP. Maybe leave an olive branch for your siblings if they want to run at some point as well. I'm 18, and if someone asked for a $300 gift from me, there's no way I would be able to pay for it. Edit. Thank you for all your feedback. I think it's really eye-opening, and I'm going to try to find a therapist so I can unload all this mess. Next story. Am I the a-hole for keeping my son from my mother-in-law after she tried to force a paternity test? Some background. Me, 28 female, and my fiancé, 34 male, have a blended family. He has 2 daughters from his previous marriage, ages 9 and 7, and I have a son from a past relationship, aged 6. Shortly after the birth of a second daughter, my fiancé had a vasectomy. He and I also have a 5-month-old baby boy. His conception came as a shock to us both, and my fiancé had a sperm count done, while low, he had some viable ones. We love our son, and I couldn't imagine life without him. But my fiancé's mom has made life hell. When she found out I was pregnant, she tried to convince him I cheated and said he shouldn't live with me until after the birth, and he should get a paternity test. She did her own research and said it was too unlikely that we'd conceive after a vasectomy, and a more obvious choice was that I was unfaithful. My fiancé shot this down, but mother-in-law said she refused to acknowledge our son until we get a test. I said, fine, he doesn't need you. She didn't come to our shower, the hospital for the birth, or even send a card. We haven't got the test done and don't plan to. Our son looks just like his dad when he was a baby. My mother-in-law caught wind that my parents have visited a baby recently. They live across the country and can't visit often cause COVID, and is furious. She suddenly wants to be an involved grandma, and that I'm keeping her from her only grandson, and that most women would kill to have involved grandparents. I told her she needs to apologize and I need time to forgive, but she's given non-apology saying she was just trying to protect her son, and I'd do the same if I were in her shoes. No sorry, no baby. Fiancé is getting uncomfortable with our fighting and picking sides. He is with me that she's been unacceptable, but says she'll never really apologize and I need to compromise, or this will never end. I've heard from other people that I need to be the bigger person. I'm honestly tired of the arguments too, but I can't forgive her accusations so easily. Half of his family thinks I'm a catty cheater because of her. You absolutely do not need to be the bigger person here. I swear, that is a phrase created by people who don't want to take accountability for being abusive. Tell your fiancé that she has overstepped and that is not okay to pressure you into doing anything. If she's been like this once, something like this will happen again. She's literally defamed your entire character over an innocent situation with no regard to how it affected you. And your fiancé isn't taking this seriously enough either. Not stay home. And jellyfish enablers who enable and minimize other people's bad behavior. It's easier to make the victim apologize and be the bigger person than make a toxic person act decently. The husband needs to be a buffer between his mom and his partner. His mom has never apologized because people let her get away with bad behavior. Sometimes I hate enablers just as much as abusers, especially those who enable child abuse. Not stay home. Not stay home, but make sure you and fiancé really are on the same page about this, or we'll be seeing a follow-up later where he's letting mother-in-law around your baby without your knowledge. Not stay home. The mother-in-law refused to acknowledge her grandson, and is now making a surprised Pikachu face that you followed through and refused to acknowledge her as a grandmother. I mean, I can understand how she would be suspicious, but if your fiancé decided that it's his son, then it's his son, whether blood-related or not. And she should have had enough grace to, at least, respect her own son's decision. B, if she was that suspicious, she should have voiced her concerns to him in private, without making it a spectacle and making your life hell for the duration of your pregnancy. Instead, she decided to be nasty about it, and is now shocked that you hate her guts. What is your prize? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for turning down a family vacation because I would have to pay and my sister wouldn't? My 28 female parents are organizing a family holiday abroad and have approached me stating that they will be paying for my sister's 30 female holiday but not mine. This is because, to them, I can afford it and she cannot, and that is the only way we would all be able to go on vacation together. They couldn't pay for us both. That's their money, and they can do as they wish with it. And that I'm in a good spot financially right now, and my sister isn't. If I ever find myself in a bad spot, they will help me out. But to me, it's not that simple. I am more financially stable than my sister because I have chosen to live in a cheaper area, despite being further from my friends. Followed a career path where financial security is guaranteed, and always live well within my means. Whereas my sister has followed a career path which is, and fairly I admit, underpaid, insisted on living close to her friends despite the high rent, and likes to spend more money on her lifestyle. My parents think the crux of it is that I am lucky that my passion lines up with a well-paid job, and my sister is unlucky that her passion does not. So my sister deserves more help due to that bad luck. They also think that I'm lucky to have a partner that I could move away to a cheaper area with. And my sister, who doesn't currently have a serious partner, is unlucky in that respect. So it would be a greater deal to move away from her friends, and therefore again unlucky. Again, they insist if the tables turn and our fortunes are reversed, they would help me out. Am I the a-hole for refusing this holiday and choosing one of my friends at the same time instead? If the money thing wasn't there, I would probably have chosen this family holiday. But I just feel like my frugal decisions are now being punished, and this is unfair. I'm not angling for my parents to pay for me too, and I also feel bad kind of suggesting, indirectly, my sister pay for hers, but I still feel really hard done by, and that my sister is being cuddled, and the fact that she spends quite a lot on a day-to-day basis, much more than me, is being rewarded. My parents and sister think I'm being money hungry, and not very compassionate to my sister's unlucky love life and underpaid profession. This is stopping us from going on vacation, all four of us, which is upsetting my parents. Am I the a-hole? Edit. People keep accusing me of judging my sister's spending. I'm not judging it at all. I think it's great she goes out and has a good time. We're just different. But at the end of the day, I'm still being asked to spend more than her on the same things. It makes my sacrifices not feel worth it. It's more a comment on the saving I do to be able to afford this holiday, rather than exactly what she/isn't doing in order to not afford it. Edit 2. My solution to this problem isn't to insist she pays and either bankrupts herself or doesn't go. I don't want that at all. We would never go without her if she couldn't afford it. So please stop telling me that's my ideal solution. I think we should find a cheaper holiday, or move the holiday back if she wants time to save or prioritize it over another holiday next year. I also would be fine if the money on each of us was proportional to salary, so that I wasn't made to feel like my frugality was for nothing, as that would be irrelevant. Now for the comments. Not stay home. It's their money to spend how they like it on who they want, just like it's your money to spend how you want and who you want. You made your choices to live within your earning bracket, while your sister, from your words, chooses to live above her means, knowing the income is there. Let them go on a vacation together, while you go vacation with friends. This. Also, you can say you'll be more than happy to pay your way on a holiday you want, where you want to go and do what you want to do. Remind your parents that, like them, you can spend your money how you please. Right here. If you're expected to pay your way and use your vacation time, it should be your vacation. It's pretty ballsy to decide the whole family must come to a specific vacation, but decide one kid gets to foot their own bill. That's regardless of them paying for the other child. That makes it so much worse. Not stay home. You pay for your vacation, you pick your vacation. Not stay home, in my opinion. Why can't your parents pay half for you and half for your sister? Then you both pay the remainder and it's fair. Your job security / financial security has nothing to do with this. They're just using it as an excuse. To make it fair, and tell them to pay half for each. Or the three of them can go on holiday and you'll do something else. No a-holes here. Your parents can do what they want with their money, even if it feels unfair to you. They seem to have this well thought through, and to me, the reasoning seems sound. You, however, have every right to feel a bit hard done by, particularly as you feel your sister is partially responsible for her lack of funds. If you feel you'd enjoy a holiday with your friends more than a family holiday, there is nothing a-holish about choosing not to go with your family, as long as you are doing it for that reason, and not just out of spite and childishness. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit for my sister? My female 19, sister 32, Mary, and her husband 28, John, have twins, a boy and a girl, both 10 months old. My parents were ecstatic when they found out she was pregnant, as the twins were their first grandchildren, and my sister had been struggling with getting pregnant for a while. I was happy for my sister and John, but I couldn't help wondering how they were going to handle this financially. They're in quite a bit of a debt, and both work long hours. My question was answered a few weeks ago when we had a big family dinner. Me, parents, Mary, John, brother Mike, 21, brother Josh, 25, and his wife Sophie, 27. My sister announced she will be returning to work in 2 weeks, so they were gonna need everyone to chip in and babysit and to help out financially. I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked when I heard this because it sounded a bit ridiculous that they expect everyone to babysit their kids for free and to give them money for their debts. Mary went around the table asking everyone when they could watch the twins, so she could draw up a roster and how much money they could spare. Everyone was contributing, and Sophie was even talking about trying to move her work shifts around so that she could babysit. I'm a full-time college student and I have a part-time job at a bakery, so I really have no time nor cash to spare. I'm also not great with kids. I literally have absolutely no idea how to take care of them. When Mary got around to me, she said she thought I could do the most hours since I was only in college and didn't have any serious commitments. Her whole attitude kind of annoyed me, and I told her I wasn't going to babysit her kids, or going to chip in money-wise, and that it was her decision to have kids, so it's her responsibility. The room went silent and my sister started crying, and everyone started giving out to me for being selfish. And my mom said that in our family we take care of each other. I left the dinner because everyone was so mad at me and demanding I apologize. I agree that maybe I was a little blunt with her, and maybe I should have offered to babysit once or twice, but I don't think I'm completely in the wrong. My family's still pissed at me and my parents are demanding I not only apologize to Mary and John, but write them a check to help them out. I have like $70 in my bank account, so that's not gonna happen. I want to apologize for being rude, but I know they're still gonna expect help. Am I the a-hole? Not stay home. What they are asking for is ridiculous, and them expecting you to do more because you're in college is just absurd. If the parents of these children really are in debt like Opie said, then a baby should be the last thing on their mind. I think it is just unfair for a child to be brought up in an environment like that. If they can't look after the baby, then they shouldn't even be raising the baby. I think adoption should have been an option here. I'm a full-time college student and I have a part-time job at a bakery, so I really have no time nor cash to spare. Opie should have just said this. This is enough reason why she doesn't want to babysit. Using her college student status to leech is just incredibly entitled. Opie not stay home. They are being ridiculous. They're having kids they aren't financially ready for. They want others to help out financially at their, others' expense. They're pushing their responsibilities onto other people. They decided this unilaterally. They demand help from people who can't give it. They used your college student status as an excuse to leech, dismissing your commitments and decisions. They don't respect your no. You're right that it should be enough if Opie were dealing with reasonable people. But Opie's family aren't being reasonable. In fact, they cited Opie being a college student as a reason they could do more babysitting. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to get over herself? I was blessed with 3 beautiful children, and unfortunately my eldest, Brooke, passed away when she was 5 years old. It rocked my world, and I know I haven't been the same since. I went through therapy and still attend to this day, but a part of me died too. I will never let my daughter be forgotten. I bring pictures of her to events such as holiday celebrations and birthdays. I talk about her all the time. Every year on my living children's birthdays, I think of her and how her once younger siblings are now older than her. My other daughter, Marnie, is getting married next month. I asked her if she was having a memorial table, and she said no. I asked her about creating a seat for her sister who passed, as she should be a part of the day. Marnie told me no, that for once she wants a day about her. She says she couldn't have one event that wasn't about Brooke. Even her graduation, I had put a picture of her on the seat. She said I needed to stop making my grief front stage. I told her she was being incredibly selfish, and until she goes through a loss like this, she'll never understand. Marnie asked me if her kids would have to live under the shadow of Brooke too, and I told her she should be ashamed to get over herself. My son says I'm being terrible and I need to reevaluate my life. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You do realize that you've made your living children feel like they don't matter, right? You're the a-hole. I cannot imagine your loss, but you've hurt your 2 living children by never allowing them to move on. And in your fear of having Brooke forgotten, you have ensured that they resent her memory. I understand wanting to keep a loved one's memory alive, but there's a time, place, and prioritization for it. It's disrespectful to the living children too, for the lack of a better word, obsessed with someone who is no longer here. Opie's life revolves around the deceased daughter so much so that it's sickeningly offensive for Opie to put the other children second place. I'm not gonna sugarcoat my words just cause Opie's grieving. I don't like Opie at all. She's not a good or even a decent mother to her children right now. Maybe in the future as well. The other children don't have the same bond to Brooke as Opie does. They should not be subjected to Opie's obsession. I'm sure the children feel the need to compete with their dead sister for a fraction of their mother's attention. They should miss her. Pain leads to happy memories. Why would they want to forget their sister? Even her graduation, I had put a picture of her on the seat. Is Marnie happy? No. She wants her grief out of her life. I want to quasi-hijack this understandably harsh comment to add, because I know people who started therapy because of behavioral patterns that harmed their loved ones, had a misfortune of finding a really crappy therapist, and got much, much worse. Holy smokes. Get a new therapist. I want to offer sympathetic and productive advice to Opie. And the most generous thing I can assume about her is that she spent several decades seeing a wildly incompetent therapist. He was completely disinterested in helping Opie have meaningful relationships with the living, or even understanding what such a thing might be. I'm going to be blunt, Opie, because apparently your own children telling you you're terrible is not enough to get through to you. Most bad parents only manage to sow discord between their living children. You've accomplished the rare feat of causing the living to resent the dead. If you do not believe in an afterlife, then it follows that none of what you are doing to remember Brooke is actually for Brooke. It's for you. Stop being selfish. If you do believe in an afterlife, then surely you understand that Brooke doesn't want a table at Marnie's wedding. She wants a place in Marnie's heart. That's not going to happen until you stop turning all of your kids' important life events into a decades-long memorial for Brooke. You're the a-hole. None of what you are doing to remember Brooke is actually for Brooke. It's for you. Over and over this. Can you imagine that you are at your graduation and your mother requests an empty chair to put your sister's photo who died over a decade or two ago? My 20-year-old brother ended himself and it consumed my dad. He didn't care about me or anyone else. All he cared about was my brother. It's pretty rough when your parents' favorite kid is their dead one. You're the a-hole. I say this with the most love I can muster, but you are the one who needs to get over yourself. Next story. Am I the a-hole for choosing my son over my stepdaughter? I, female 32, have been married to Mark, male 36, for 6 years. Mark had a child, Sarah, female 12, with Allie, ex-girlfriend, who is starting high school next year, meaning she needs a computer for school. We also have a child together, Alex, male 5. The issue arose last week when my husband asked me to contribute 1/3 of the cost for Sarah's computer, saying it could be a Christmas present for all of us. Sarah wants a MacBook, and they decided on the latest MacBook Pro, over $2,000 after Apple Care, accessories, etc., with my share totaling at least $700. I make significantly less than my husband, and before this year, we would stick to a budget and have the cost together. This year, the budget I scheduled was $200 per kid. I typically handle all Christmas shopping, but run everything past Mark. I told Mark that was double what we spent each Christmas, and I wasn't aware until now that I was expected to chip in the costs. I said if I'd had time to save, I might have, but on short notice it wasn't possible, and suggested we look at cheaper options, which was quickly shot down. I told him that I could contribute $200 from my savings, but no more, so we still had to buy presents for Alex. This wasn't received well by Sarah, Allie, or Mark, and they said I was selfish for not helping out. And Sarah was devastated as she took this as me favoring Alex over her, and not liking/wanting her. The suggestion was that I don't spend much money on Alex, and give the money to Sarah instead. But I refused, since I didn't consider that fair to Alex, and didn't want him upset that he didn't get any/many presents for Christmas. This has had a severe impact on my relationship with Sarah and Allie, and Mark thinks I should do this to prove my love for Sarah. Sarah has 3 people contributing to presents while Alex only has 2. So Sarah typically gets more presents anyway, but we always keep things fair. Mark and Allie are the a-hole for getting Sarah involved in an issue of finances. She's 12 years old. She does not need a $2,000 piece of equipment. Let them get it for her and see what happens when she breaks it. The fact that he equates sticking to a budget with not caring as much about Sarah is a huge red flag as well. Not the a-hole. However, keep your eye on your husband and his ex playing their daughter against you. You won't be the a-hole if you play into their game at your son's expense. I would just like to point out that most high schools issue their own computers to students. My kid is in high school and they gave out iPads for the students at the beginning of the school year. So this isn't a need, it's a want, and an expensive want for a 12-year-old. Not the a-hole. Why does a 12-year-old need a MacBook Pro in the first place? I got through university with a laptop I got open box at Best Buy for $400. It sounds as though he tried reasonable compromises and suggestions, and it's pretty rude of them to have involved her in this conversation. Good luck untangling this mess, and I hope the adults can reach some kind of agreement without spoiling the joy of receiving gifts gracefully for your stepdaughter. To be fair, some high school programs, think anything related to design, code, video editing, etc., do require certain software that only runs on newer laptops, or require Mac instead of PC. This isn't as common in high school as in college, but does exist. I don't know any schools that require PC but advanced courses at my public high school. Both schools I went to for undergrad and my grad school required a Mac that could run a certain version of software on it. Dad could also be thinking a newish MacBook now. We'll ask her through undergrad if it's taken care of properly. Why she needs a brand new Pro is beyond me. Refurbed ones will last just as long and can be $300 plus cheaper. However, that's school. The kid has 2 parents to pay for school, and Opie isn't one of them. Opie's a bonus parent to this girl. She could include a nice case or keyboard protector or year of Microsoft Suite and kids' Christmas gift, but is by no means responsible for this very expensive education-related tool. Kids' bio parents are being selfish a-holes. So not the a-hole in my opinion too. Yes, Mark was adamant on you so she could use it all through high school, 6 years, which I do agree on. The school supplies all the software needed, so I assumed the computers they suggested were needed for the specific software they needed. Edit. After reading the comments, I've decided to stick to my decision. I will offer $200 but won't pay more than that, and suggested cheaper options once again. I definitely agree that Sarah doesn't need that expensive of a laptop, but will suggest a MacBook Air. Any further comments would be much appreciated. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not allowing my ex-mother-in-law to have a key to my house? So me and my ex have been separated for 2 years. We separated on good terms and we get on well despite our differences. We do have a 3-year-old daughter, and he works a lot, so he doesn't get to have our daughter often. For this reason, I gave him a spare key to my house so that he could pop in and see us whenever he wanted. I completely trusted him with his key. For context, I have never had a good relationship with my ex-mother-in-law. She's always hated me and accused me of ruining her son's life by getting pregnant so young. I was 18. She hates me so much that when I was pregnant with our daughter, she threatened to take me to court to gain full custody of my daughter. When I found this out, I was of course furious and did confront her. They were empty threats, as I honestly think she knew she'd be fighting a lost battle. She despises me, and honestly, I'm not her biggest fan either. I haven't much interacted with her since I left my ex, except from the fortnightly visits where I take my daughter to her house. Well, my ex has been coming over to the house as usual, but has not been using his key. At first I thought nothing of this, but it became more frequent, and so I said if you're not going to use your key, I'll have it back. He then informed me that his mom had asked for the key so that she had access to the house, and to see her granddaughter whenever she wanted. He told me he agreed. I lost my temper completely. After everything I'd gone through in the past, I had absolutely no idea why he thought it would be a good idea to give his deranged mother my key. I told him I wanted it back immediately, and that I no longer wanted him to have a key. He is furious at me, saying his mother is in pieces, as all she wants is to know that she can see her granddaughter whenever she so pleases. I told him that that was in no way realistic, and that if she wished to spend time with my daughter, she could message or call me and I'd bring her over with me there in attendance. This wasn't good enough, and now him and his family are not speaking to me. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Start documenting these things. Exact dates, exactly what they do and say. This sounds like a course leading to a restraining order on the mother-in-law. Be prepared for that date. Stand your ground firmly on this issue. If he wants to invite her over while caring for his daughter, that's his choice. Giving her access to your home is a gross violation of trust, and you are right to revoke that access. Personally, don't ask for the key back. Just change the locks. It will give you peace of mind that you are safe again. I had started documenting back when she threatened custody, but stopped when we separated. I definitely think I should go back to it and continue it. Thank you. Can't emphasize enough about changing the locks. I'd also look into getting cameras as well. Time with his mother at this point needs to be only during his time with her and never on your property. Considering you didn't mention anything about a custody agreement, I'm guessing you only have an informal one. Might be time to consult an attorney about formalizing a legal one. If Grandma's feeling you are withholding her granddaughter through having normal boundaries, she likely is already looking into getting one for her son. Not stay home. Change your locks. She's likely made copies. Don't give him a key to the new lock. Locksmiths have been called. Feel like a fool for ever giving him one in the first place now. Don't. You did it because you were trying to do co-parenting. He is the one who broke your trust and is at fault. Not stay home. Most grandparents cannot see their grandkids whenever they want. They have to contact the parents and make arrangements to meet up. Your ex-mother-in-law wants that key for some other reason, and I doubt it is a good one. Get your locks changed. Even if you get that key back, they might have made a copy of it. It is not at all that expensive, even if you get a locksmith to do it. Or you can rekey the locks yourself if you are good at DIY. And I'd look for signs that someone has been in your house while you were out. She clearly wasn't using the key while you were home, but that doesn't mean she didn't snoop around while you were out. Update. Locksmith has been called. Glad I'm not going insane. Thank you all. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for alienating my daughter against her mother and allowing her to live with me? Context. My ex-wife Stacy and I, 37 male, met at a party in college and hit it off. We dated for 3 years during college. During the relationship, I made it clear I didn't want kids. Right after we graduated, Stacy got pregnant. She said it was caused by birth control failure. This is important for later. I didn't want the kid and tried to convince her to terminate or give the baby up for adoption, but she wanted to raise the kid. I really wanted to leave but felt guilty, so I married her out of guilt. After our daughter Madison was born, I started getting depressed. I became an alcoholic. I tried really hard to be a good dad to her. I really tried my best. When she was 5, I realized how much I hated my life. I filed for divorce and left. I made sure to always pay child support. I still loved Madison, I just couldn't be a good parent to her at a time. I stayed in Chicago for a bit, but eventually moved to Canada for a job. Still, I felt like I had no purpose. I was still depressed, and I was still drinking. I was in a pretty dark place. I even lived in my car for 3 months. Then I met my current wife, Amanda, 33, female, and we started dating. She cared about me, and I started getting my life back on track. I left my toxic job, found a good apartment, started going to AA meetings, and started seeing a therapist. During this time, I contacted Stacy and asked to see Madison. I begged and showed her that I was sober, but she wouldn't let me. I tried several times, but Stacy wouldn't let me. I started a business 6 years ago, and it's done incredibly well in the last 3 years. It's pulled in $3 million in profit last year. Then Amanda and I got married. I was finally able to hire a good attorney, and after a complicated legal battle, I was given holidays and summers with Madison. Madison was a little difficult at first, but I have explained everything to her, and she was really understanding. Madison, 15, female, and I now have a really good relationship. I have tried to co-parent respectfully with Stacy, but she has been really difficult to communicate. She doesn't tell me certain matters, and she sends threatening voicemails, etc. I also know that Stacy told some pretty bad crap about me to Madison. Stacy told Madison I loved alcohol more than her, that I never sent them any money, despite the fact I never missed a payment. 2 days ago, Madison called me and told me that she and her mother had a fight, and her mother admitted that she stopped taking birth control intentionally to trap me. Madison said that this was the last straw with her mom, and that she wants to move in with me. Madison said her mom was always mad at her for mentioning me, and that she forced her to share the stuff I got her with her step-siblings, and she begged me to let her move in. I obviously agreed. Legally, since she's 15, she can choose who to live with. Now my ex, her husband, and her family have been blowing up my phone telling me that I alienated Madison against her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Oh no, the consequences of my actions. I have to laugh at them accusing Opie of alienating her. Opie didn't need to do anything since mom did a good enough job of that herself. Not the a-hole. You've turned your life around and started making amends with your daughter, which is exactly what a good father is supposed to do. Your ex not only lied to you about taking birth control to trap you, but she's been lying to your daughter for 15 years about you. And now she's pissed off because your daughter can see what a horrible manipulative person her mother is. Mom is and has been committing parental alienation, which is a huge no-no and would be another reason the courts would give Opie custody over the mom anyway. Mom is a a-hole. She desperately wanted a child, and now that she has one, she is doing things to hurt her. Wow, how very sad for them all. Thank goodness Opie has turned his life around, gotten sober, and is being a good father so that girl can have one responsible, loving parent. Am I the a-hole for being upset with my son for finding a job without telling me? My son is 18. He is going to be attending community college and is living with me, my husband, and his 2 younger half-sisters. The other day, I found out that he found and accepted a job without telling me. I was upset with him about it, and the reason for that is that, first of all, he should have told me since we live in the same house. And also, and more importantly, now I'm left without someone to stay with the girls from 3 to 8, where my shift starts and ends. My son is usually the one to stay home with the girls, and his new job is during these hours, so one way or another we are impacted. He told me his friend found him this job and it just happened, but I don't think it did, because he knew he had to give up staying with his sisters while at work. My husband travels most of the time, he's a pilot, and paid childcare is a no for me. My son said I shouldn't be surprised by him trying to work to save money to be able to pay for himself. But that is just absurd, since he literally lives with us without having to pay for anything, except for his own entertainment. He said he needed a job, and he wasn't realistically going to stay and watch his sisters for days on end, especially if he doesn't get paid for it. We kept arguing and my husband got involved, and he too was upset, saying that my son had no respect for us. My son basically had a like-it-or-not attitude with us, and kept refusing to discuss this with us, saying we have no right to be upset with him, and should just accept it. But I think that is being inconsiderate of my husband's and I's struggle to provide for the family as a whole. This should mean something to him, but he acted selfishly. Edited to add, okay, it seems that I did not mention the reason why the babysitter option isn't ideal. It is because my daughters don't want a babysitter. They're both dealing with some issues and are uncomfortable being with a stranger at home. Besides that, my son decided to stay with him, and we didn't ask him or anything. Okay, some of you here are implying or suggesting that I'm making my son to be the girl's babysitter, but that is in fact not true. He doesn't do much for them, just stays home with them while he studies or plays video games. He adores his sisters and only stays with them when he wants to, otherwise we wouldn't force him. Also, my husband said the girls are too young for therapy, and I agree with him on that. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. He isn't free childcare. He has his own life he needs to live, and what he is doing is bettering himself for the future. You need a better plan than forcing your kid to babysit for no money. But I feed and house him. I am genuinely curious as to what her plan was if her son ended up having classes in that time period. As a student, I speak from experience when I say classes can be at odd times. I wouldn't even consider 3 to 8 to be odd times for college classes, especially at a community college that might have a lot of first shift workers / second shift students. Classes in the 3 to 6 range would often fill up first when I was in college, because professors would teach their higher level or degree-specific classes earlier, and the gen eds in the afternoon. Mostly because we had a large teaching college, so we'd often be doing practicums at schools around the area in the mornings, and come back to campus in the afternoons, and we needed those classes not to interfere with school hours. So instead of getting a paying job for himself, you want him to work for you for free? You're the a-hole, and this should be cross-posted to r/choosing beggars, lol. You're the a-hole. The man is 18. He needs a job and he doesn't have any children. You have children. Stop relying on your son like he is your co-parent or partner. He is not. Exactly. He needs a job. Even if he doesn't need the money, the job economy is rough. And my friend recently graduated college with 2 degrees and has been struggling finding a job with his degrees. I couldn't imagine how much harder that would be on someone who has never had a job in general. OP, you're the a-hole. I've been working since 16. Job interviewers have often said they like seeing how much experience they have with working, as hiring someone who has 0 job experience can be a risk to them. It helps him gain independence as well because he's 18. Soon he won't be living with his parents. Rentals also like seeing job history. His siblings are not his kids. No reason to watch them unpaid. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for disrespecting my husband's wishes and refusing to let my kids call him dad? I, female 35, lost my late husband years ago, and I have 2 kids with him, 5 and 7. The kids struggled a lot from this tremendous loss, but they were lucky to meet my now husband and their stepdad Adam. Adam and I got married several months ago. He without a doubt loves my kids as his own. It even gave them adorable nicknames, and they did the same to him. They have several cute nicknames for him, which is what they usually call him by. But for the past couple of weeks, I started hearing first one of the kids call him daddy, then both of them calling him daddy. To be frank, I felt uncomfortable with it and didn't think it was the right thing to do. I don't want the kids to be confused. It accidentally replaced their biological dad, and Adam said he understood that. In fact, he said no pressure, but the kids decided to call him daddy and he couldn't bring himself to correct them. I asked to try to do that and set limits so this won't go out of hand. Well, yesterday it happened again right before my eyes. One of the kids called Adam daddy, and Adam didn't correct him or say anything. I got upset and couldn't help it. I waited till the kids were in the other room and started arguing with Adam about it. He acted confused and he said he couldn't do it. then tried to convince me to let it go as long as the kids are happy. I told him he doesn't get it because I'm trying to keep their deceased father's presence and title in their life, and it's hard as it is now adding this confusion that comes with calling Adam daddy. He said I was being irrational and that he's done nothing wrong, but I disagreed because we already had this conversation. Besides that, he was more than thrilled with the kids calling him cute nicknames, so why would he suddenly not want that now? I told him I'd handle this myself from now on out. Apparently, I pissed him off because he mumbled that I was being a bit much, then went upstairs. He's claiming that I'm disrespecting his wishes and keeping him at arm's length when it comes to his relationship with the kids, but all I ask for is time. You're the a-hole with as much compassion and sympathy as one can have while still rendering that verdict. Your kids can have more than one dad without replacing or forgetting their biological one. All you're doing by trying to police how they label their feelings about Adam is getting in the way of building a healthy relationship with a father figure who's here, and who they've embraced. Please get to therapy if you continue to struggle with how to navigate this, because I really think this is more about you and your grief than what's best for them. Agreed, but I'm holding off on too much compassion. Opie needs therapy, but she also needs to hold herself accountable for keeping her kids emotionally healthy. The kids want a dad, and they see Adam as dad because he is right there doing all the dad stuff. If Opie blocks them from building this bond, they will get so confused. All the kids at school have moms and dads. Why don't they? They will ask questions, and kids can struggle with how adults process emotions. Let them have their dad. Yes, and also Opie was mad that the Adam didn't correct the kids when calling him dad. But how is he going to do that without upsetting them? They're quite young, so even if he explained in the nicest possible way, they could feel upset about the conversation. You were being irrational. This issue is your preference, so you should have been handling it yourself all along. It's possible for the kids to call their stepfather daddy and also know that their bio father died. Forcing your husband to say, "Don't call me daddy," is a poor substitute for you just talking to them about their deceased father. If the children choose to call their stepfather daddy, let them. You're the a-hole. This is spot on. Opie, the kids chose to call him dad. They chose. Imagine how they will feel if he says, "I'm not your dad. Stop calling me that." They will feel awful and unloved. They think of him as their dad and it turns around and stamps on their feelings. Don't make him do that. Don't make him damage the nice relationship he has going on with those kids. Leave it be. Soft, you're the a-hole. He's not making the kids call him dad. They're doing it on their own, which is a good thing because it means they like him and feel loved by him. I understand you not wanting the kids to forget their father, but they're 5 and 7, and chances are they aren't going to have any memories of him. However, they'll have you to tell them about him. And I don't think them calling your husband dad is going to make them forget that they had a dad who loved them and did not choose to leave them. They can have 2 dads and love them both. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my daughter's friend to sleep over because her mother didn't teach her boundaries? The title is quite confusing, but I can't figure out a better way to word it, so I'm just gonna do my best to explain. My 36 female daughter, 6 female, has a friend, 6 female, whose mother I have frequently had issues with. Mom B, 30s female, and her husband, male 30s, are what's yours is mine people and have taught their daughter that mindset. My daughter has a very fragile teddy that her granny gifted her when she was christened. I've mended this teddy 100 times, but it's still falling apart because my daughter carries it literally everywhere. She's super gentle with it. It has come up with her own rules that you have to follow to hold and play with the teddy. My daughter asked to have a play date / sleepover with her friend a few months ago. After talking to her parents, I agreed. Turns out the girls fought like cats and dogs over her teddy because the friend didn't want to follow the rules and didn't understand that if she can't follow them, she can't play. The friend threw my daughter's teddy and she called to come home early. Next day, I guess they sorted it and were friends once again. My daughter does not play with a teddy at school. She just puts him in her backpack, as far as I know, because she's scared other kids will hurt Teddy, and I'm pretty sure this is the only reason they're still friends. The girls have wanted to have sleepovers multiple times since, but after talking to her friend's mother and being told that if my daughter brings her teddy into Mom B's house, then Mom B's rules go. and my daughter will have to share whether her friend isn't careful or not. I've denied it. She suggested they sleep over at my house, but I've seen how her daughter acts at school/on a playground, picking up toys that aren't hers and just running off, fighting with other kids over their toys, etc. And I just don't think she would play with said Teddy properly even under my roof. Am I the a-hole for this? I've talked to other parents in her class who had the same problem and just hid a toy, but I don't think my daughter should have to go without the teddy all night for someone else's behavior. Now for the comments. The girls have wanted to have sleepover multiple times since. If your daughter is also doing the asking here, then it's time for you to have a discussion with her about the teddy. Maybe she is willing to hide him for the night to ensure his safety? Not a day-haul for being concerned about a toy that has a lot of significance to your child, but you better start thinking about alternative solutions in general. Things happen by accident to special lovies, even in your own home or at school. And surely you don't want to have that cause a real breakdown or something. I've talked to her about the teddy before, basically saying that there will be a time to leave him at home, which was when she came up with the rules. All her other friends have agreed to set rules, and I think maybe that's why she keeps asking. My husband told her we talked to friend's mom, so maybe she thinks the problem's fixed. Either way, another convo is in our future anyway. Thank you. What about sending your daughter to the sleepover without Teddy? Talk to her ahead of time about keeping Teddy at home so he's safe. Mild everyone sucks here. The other mom sucks for obvious reasons, and much more than you do. But you're also doing your kid a disservice by not showing her how to enforce her own boundaries and deal with the natural consequences. Asking her directly would make the most sense here. Does your daughter want to go on a sleepover? If she does she want to leave Teddy at home so that he doesn't get messed up? Ultimately, it was bound to happen that there would be a situation where it wasn't appropriate for her to bring Teddy, and learning how to cope with that is an important skill. In another comment, Opie mentions some of the rules around a teddy that require hand washing, and I'm just wondering if the daughter may be developing some unhealthy habits in regards to the teddy. Like, I completely understand the importance in her being a child that has an attachment, but at some point, the daughter is going to have to learn to separate from the bear, and I personally think that needs to be more of the focus here. Everyone sucks here for right now, though. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin and her husband they should consider stopping their IVF treatment? My female 28 female cousin Lauren, female 35, and her husband have been struggling with having kids and are suffering from health issues. They've begun IVF treatment, which is expensive where I live. So far, they've had several rounds, but no luck. They visited on my mom's birthday yesterday. We don't see each other much now, but mom tells me about how they're doing in general. We were conversing at dinner and the IVF got brought up. Lauren said she and her husband are about to undergo another round of IVF. Everyone at a table said a prayer and wished them luck. But I told Lauren that after spending this much money, and after having already gone through several rounds in addition to other factors contributing to their infertility issues, she should really consider stopping IVF and taking a break and also saving money. Lauren and her husband looked offended. Lauren then said that they aren't struggling with money, so it's okay. I explained that they may not be struggling now but will be in the future, saying they'd spent thousands and wasted money for no benefits while they could have financially helped some struggling family with kids. Lauren got quiet, but I stated that this was just my opinion after all. Lauren's husband looked at me grudgingly and said, I think you should just mind your own business and keep your opinion to yourself. From there, the argument ensued. I told him he was being disrespectful, and he kept talking back. Shortly after, he and Lauren left. Mom started asking me why I caused a scene on her birthday. I said we were just talking, but Lauren and her husband blew this way out of proportion. Mom said that I have zero say in anyone's reproductive choice and should have kept my mouth shut. My sister, who rarely agrees with me, sided with me saying I was good, but Mom is insisting I call Lauren and apologize to her. My husband too sided with me and told me to give it a few days and Lauren will call. I see Lauren as my sister and I respect her, but we have our moments. Am I the a-hole in this situation? You're the a-hole. Their reproductive choices are none of your business. I told him he was being disrespectful and he kept talking back. Ironic that you'd call him disrespectful and claim he's the one talking back. This The fact that she can't see that she was disrespectful and the argument ensued literally because she answered back when he told her, quite correctly, to mind her own business is staggering. You're the a-hole, OP. It is none of your business. Also, this is not wasting money. They are trying to have a baby, and your absolute dismissive and hurtful comments are terrible. Now, if they were loaning money everywhere to get these treatments, and only if they ask you multiple times and you kept on saying no, then you have the right to say something about this. If not, shut up. And also, I can say my opinion because it's my opinion and I'm allowed to state my opinion, however de facto true that is. It's also making you a huge a-hole. You don't need to say your opinion because it's none of your freaking business. You're the a-hole. What they do with their money and their bodies is none of your business. And they could have financially helped some struggling family with kids. Are you helping a struggling family with kids? I'm petty, so if I was in that family, every time Opie mentioned spending money, I would throw that back in her face. Oh, you took a vacation? You could have helped a struggling family. New haircut? Shoes? Clothes? That money could have been used to help a struggling family. You're the a-hole. Let me guess. You're the struggling family with kids they should have helped instead. This is absolutely a mind-your-own-business situation. I've read too many of these posts, lol. It is like a solid 80-20 that whenever someone says that someone should have helped others, they're talking about themselves. Wouldn't be surprised if the cousin cuts her off completely. They don't need that toxicity in their life.